you're gonna see those people. And when you see those people, what the hell are you gonna say? Okay? Number 4, kindness is power. 5, be authentic, be honest. I make mistakes all the time. How else am I gonna learn? I still do, even as a professor. Okay? But be honest about it. Just say, yeah guys, I made a mistake, that's on me. Be true to who you are. You know, when I started at that shopping center, the corporate world I call it, I thought I had to be somebody else to make it to the top. Because I was seeing how my boss was treating me and how she was treating other people, belittling me or making sure that she was on top of a narcissist is what I had as a leader. Manager, that's not a leader. Those are managers, okay? I thought I had to be somebody else to make it to the top. After 3 years of being there, 3.5 years, I realized I wasn't comfortable with what was happening. It was a very toxic work environment, and that's not who I was. That wasn't me. I don't like talking about people. I don't care what she's doing with her husband and if she's getting a divorce. Who cares? That wasn't me. So I left that toxic work environment. I left it because that's not who I was. And I tell my staff and my students all the time, be true to who you are at work, especially at work and in the school place and in the classroom. Okay? If you're a quiet person, that's okay. Do you know how many, I hired a lot of, I've always hired some, I've had quiet people. Right now I have a very talkative person in my office, but it's who she always apologizes. I'm sorry. And I told her, Danae, don't apologize for who you are. I hired you for a reason. I hired you because of your personality. A lot of times, I hire based on personality. Yeah, the skills are there, but I want to make sure you fit in well with our environment. Okay, I want to know who you are as a person. Are you a team player? Are you humble? Are you kind? You'll fit well with us. But if you're not and you're inauthentic and I could just sense it from you, I am not going to hire you. So again, be authentic in your interviews too. When you are interviewing for a job, this is who you are. And don't apologize for being who you are. And then number 6 is accountability. Again, never embarrass your peers and or your staff in front of people if mistakes are happening. Okay, and be accountable for yourself also. Oh, my favorite. Who's seen The Wizard of Oz? Okay, so who hasn't? Oh, you will have no clue what I'm talking about. Okay, so don't be the villain leader. And I have here narcissist boss. I have here, okay, what is a narcissist boss? They are charismatic and eloquent under pressure. They are the cheerleader. Everything revolves around them. They are the I in team. Yay. They lack empathy and humanity to treat people simply as equitable human beings. Okay, I'm sure a lot of you have dealt with these type of people or bosses, right? Insecure. Now, we all have insecurities, right? I do. Do you? Yeah, it's human nature to have those insecurities. But in a job, you do not let your insecurities play into your position, okay? Now let's say you've been at your job for a year or two, and here comes this hot new person who is young, and she's only been there for 6 months and she gets a promotion. That's gonna piss you off, right? Because they just gave her the promotion and not you. So what I always recommend is you vent outside of work. If it's your husband, significant other, your parents, you vent outside of work. Let it out. Don't let it out at work. you need to take a day or two off from being upset, come back, and then have a respectful conversation with your boss, with your superior, about why you were passed over for this promotion. Because by then you've cooled off. And plus, you haven't put yourself in a situation where you look like you're the jealous one, you're bitter at work, okay? You've let it out outside of work. So when you come back, you're okay, a little okay, but you have to have that conversation with your boss. Hey, I've done this, this, and that. How come I was passed over? What happened? She just, she's new. I just want to know what I can do better. Okay, there's ways around it without sounding bitter. And then once you have that conversation and that communication with your boss, you'd be surprised at what you might hear. Maybe you have some improvement to make, or hey, he didn't know that you wanted this promotion. You never know what could come out of it. Okay? Two-faced, you're gonna have the two-faced boss. I talk about this. The micromanager, the one who just is over your head the whole time telling you what to do. And then the one that takes all the credit for your work. Oh, that's a hard one to get around, right? That's a tough one. Like, what do you do? Okay, it's happened to me before. So when it happened about 2 or 3 times, that's when I went and said something. I had to say something. You just have to have that, hey, the project I just worked on, I just want to make sure that, that you're okay with my idea, and that so-and-so also recognizes that it was my idea as well. It's such a hard conversation, but you have to do it because you can't let people step all over you, including your boss. Okay, they have to know, and sometimes they may not know that they're doing it. So one thing I wanted to tell you guys, and I talked to Brian about this. Remember, even the villain leader has a story. So the Wicked Witch, was she really wicked? Those of you that have seen the movie. All she was doing was getting her slippers back. They're not even Dorothy's, right? They were her sister's slippers, the Wicked Witch's sisters. You're gonna watch this movie. Yeah. She's like, no. They were her sister's shoes. But Dorothy had them. All she wanted was to get her sister's shoes back. But why was she a villain? Why was she the Wicked Witch? What made her wicked? Because of the way she went about it. She wanted to kill Dorothy. Okay, we don't do that. Let's get the slippers without killing people. Maybe she'll give them back to you. But then Dorothy, all she wanted was to go home. And she thought that the slippers were gonna take her home. But she didn't know that she had the power to go home at any time without the slippers. My point is, whatever your goals are, you need to make it happen. You don't need anybody or somebody like the ruby slippers to take you home. Whatever your goals are, you could do it. Okay? Even if you have the Wicked Witch after you, the villain leaders, the horrible coworkers, you need to get out of that situation and find your way. And you will. Whatever home is, whatever your goals are. And again, the monkeys were happy that the Wicked Witch melted. Why were they happy? So don't be a follower. If you know that somebody's doing something wrong, this whole Me Too movement, you know that somebody's doing something wrong, speak up. Don't be the follower. If you know that somebody's doing something wrong, don't be led into that path. So I want to let you guys know about one thing. There's a difference between a tough boss and a toxic boss for you young people that are here. Okay, there's a huge difference. A tough boss expects you to work hard, while a toxic boss expects you to work hard and belittles you while doing it. That's the difference. I've had tough bosses and they've been amazing because I learned a lot from them. They were tough, goal-oriented, and held me accountable for my position. But I also had the toxic boss who wanted the same thing but belittled me in the process. Okay? That's when I got away. I ran away. I was like, Dorothy, I need my slippers to take me home. So that's the difference. I want you guys to know that. And our security manager, this is his quote, not mine. And I tell him, I go, anytime I talk, I quote you. He's at the fair. No drama, no trauma, people. Okay? You don't have drama at work, you're not gonna have any trauma. So take that into consideration. Now, a superhero, you're thrown into the unknown world. You're like the students. Superheroes get thrown into the unknown world. For example, college life and the real world. But it's up to you guys to maneuver around that. Make the hard decisions. Some of you are going to be fathers in the process. Some of you are going to be mothers. Some of you are mothers and are fathers and are trying to get through it. And you will. Okay, some of you don't have kids, but there's other things that are dragging you down in life. I get it. I've been there in those situations. Okay? But you will get through it. You just have to have that goal, just like a superhero. They get thrown into the unknown and they have to maneuver their way around it. Okay? The villain's trying to kill them. But they still make it out. And they're the hero. And that's you. You'll make it out. So this is kind of, I'm just going to touch on this really quickly because I talk about it in my book a lot. Can women do it all? Is it a myth? You ladies that are here, can we do it all?
With help.
With help? Yes. Anybody else? What is the definition of doing it all? There's a different meaning for everybody. Okay, for me, doing it all means teaching, working part-time at the fair, and making sure I'm there for my kids, getting picked up at school, taking them to their activities, writing a book, I don't know, whatever. Okay, that's my definition. Okay, I have other people, their definition of doing it all is being a VP of a company, having kids, and doing these volunteer activities, and that's their definition. It means something different to everybody. We're all different. So don't compare yourself to anybody else. You know, you see all these social media posts. Oh my God, I'm like Pinteresting today and I got this idea and look what I'm doing. Because those women kill me. I'm not a Pinterest mom, I'm more of an Etsy mom. I just order that stuff online and it comes straight to my house. I don't have time to make it, okay? But I know that about myself, and that's okay. Okay, I don't compare myself to what somebody's posting. Don't do that to yourself. Social media has gotten us, I feel like, you know, and I talk about it in my book, and it's sad because since 2011, the rise of suicide amongst teenagers has risen. It's the second leading cause of teenagers. And I feel it's attributed to technology and social media. Because kids these days don't know how to cope with being left behind. They're insecure, okay? Like we all are. But you remember when you were a teenager, when you were 13, 14, you know, imagine being bullied all over social media on your Facebook or Instagram account. Maybe some of you have been bullied. Okay? It's hard for these kids. But again, going back to this, there's no such thing as a superwoman. You can't have everything if you do everything. So a lot of times, I say no to a lot of things because I can't do it all, you guys. It's hard. I'm exhausted. My kids have, one's in volleyball, one's in soccer, basketball, school. I feel like I'm back in elementary school because I have to do projects, which I hate. And then another thing I hate is school field trips that I have to go to. Not that I have to, but I choose to. So a lot of times I have to say no to the extra stuff, okay? Because if I say yes to everything, I'm gonna drive myself crazy. So I have to say no. And it's okay to say no to some stuff, okay? Now, this is very important, I think, for your generation. You need to professionally brand yourself on social media. I don't want to see your Vegas photos, drunk, watching Magic Mike, I don't know, on social media, okay? You guys need to brand yourself professionally, okay? You need to get a LinkedIn account, connect with your professors, connect with Brian, right? Yeah, okay. Connect with people that you work with. Build your professional brand now. Because when you start applying for jobs, they're gonna Google you, and if that Vegas photo pops up, guess what? You're not gonna get the call for the interview. Because that's what businesses are doing right now. I Google people when I'm researching them, if I wanna hire them or not. Be careful what you post. Don't vomit everything on social media. Okay, be careful with that. Yeah, it's okay to post about life and your kids, and you keep in touch with people. I have family in Europe. I have family that is still in Iraq. So my social media is really good for us to keep in touch, and that's wonderful. Okay? Again, limit what you post. And make sure that you guys get, who here has a LinkedIn account? Okay, those of you that didn't raise their hand, get one. Okay, start developing your professional resume on LinkedIn. It's a good way to get connected with your professors. I don't care if you haven't had a job, okay? Whatever it is, put it, you were in Girl Scouts, whatever. Put it down. So again, communication, you need to speak up. Don't be afraid to speak up in the workplace. That was my problem. I was very passive. You saw my photo. Of course I was gonna be passive. I didn't speak up. Thick glasses, braces. I didn't have braces then, but those came a few years later. I was very passive. I didn't speak up. Kids would say stuff to me and I would just brush it off. I didn't speak up and defend myself. And that came along with me in the workplace. I didn't speak up in the toxic work environment. I didn't say what was bothering me, and it still sometimes bothers me because I didn't speak up, so I wrote a book about it. To help you guys, anybody that is afraid to speak up, not to be, because you have rights as an employee. Okay, and you have the right to communicate with your superior, with your leader, to say in a very respectful way, but to speak up for what is bothering you. Again, stand your ground. If you know you're right, stand your ground. Don't be afraid. Be humble, and it's okay to be goal-oriented and thrive. I love when my staff comes to me and says, Adrenna, this is what I want to do. I want to do what you're doing. I want to be a marketing manager. How do I get there? What do I do? Okay, girl, let's sit down. This is what you do. I educate them. I had a professor once say to us, this is when I was getting my doctorate, you don't train people, you educate people. You train dogs. Okay, you educate people. So that is the rhetoric that I've changed in the workplace, is even if they mess up or something happens, or I've told them like 5 different times how to do something, I'm educating you, okay? So when I have to sit down and do that talk with you, I'm trying to educate you to be a better staff member, a better leader, because one day you're gonna be in my position. Okay, so I don't care how many times they mess up. I have learned to have the patience that it's okay. I'm educating. Okay? And that's what we need to change our rhetoric on how to be leaders. Okay, so women working together for one goal: build. Strong women who collaborate thrive in adversity. And another one of my favorite authors who wrote the book Lord of the Flies, who's read it, who had to read it in high school. I love that book. I don't know why, I know I'm crazy. But he said, I think women are foolish to pretend they are equal to men. They are far superior and always have been. Okay? So don't compare yourself to men, ladies. And that is my book, Empower Her. It's on Amazon. It's also at Barnes & Nobles, and I think Brian has copies for you guys, and that's it. Thank you.
So Adrenna has graciously agreed to do a Q&A session with the audience. So Brian and I will be on either side of the room. So if you've got a question, please raise your hand and we will bring the microphone over.
I answered everybody's questions. Come on, that's what it is. What is it?
How did you balance being a mom? It sounds like you're very involved with your kids and do the work and in school.
That's a great question.
It's a full-time job just being a mom.
It is. It's a hard job. So I had help, like she said. Okay, I had help. When I was working at the shopping center, I couldn't do, it was over 40 hours a week. And that wasn't working for me because I wanted to be there for my daughter. I wanted to see her walk. I wanted to see all those little milesteps that I felt like I was missing. And this is just me. We're all different. I don't want you guys comparing yourselves to me. Okay, because some people may not, they're fine with it. They're like, whatever, it's fine. And some people don't have a choice. They have, like my aunt, her husband passed away when her kids were little. She had no choice but to work full time. She missed out, and she says now, I missed out on so much, but my grandmother was there to help with the kids, but she still sometimes feels guilty, but she had no choice. I have a choice right now. My husband works, he has his own business. I choose to work because I need to get out of the house, you guys. Like I can't, like I can't do the full-time mommy gig. Bless your heart for doing it, but I have to go out. I have to work. I'm constantly doing things. Like when I was in college, I had a weekend job. I was doing this and I was doing that, but that's my personality and that was me. So to answer your question, I left my over 40 hours a job at the shopping center. One, because I didn't want to do it anymore. It was too much work. And then coming home to my daughter, I was only seeing her for an hour after work. And then, and it was a very toxic work environment. The female boss that I had was not a good leader. She was a manager. I did not want to be around that any longer. So I made the decision to teach more at Delta College. So I started teaching where I was able to get my own hours, and I was there for my daughter more. And then I got the job at the fair. Well, the job at the fair allowed me to have flexibility, and I work at my own pace and my own hours. I'm able to leave when I want to. I'm my own boss, basically. If I get my job done, and I've done I think, a good job over the last 9 years. I mean, I haven't been fired yet. Who knows? Who knows? You just never know. So I've made the decision to take opportunities that were based on my kids' schedules, whatever fit for my family. And sometimes I didn't know that those decisions that I had to make those decisions when I was in college. I thought I was just gonna have this great career, and I didn't even think about kids. And then I have 3. So I didn't think that one day I would have to make a decision. Do I want to be a stay-at-home mom, a working mom, or what do I didn't know that. I was in my own world, single with no kids, having fun in college. But then reality hits, and you start having kids, and they come first. So that's what I mean, that doesn't mean, like, I've had opportunities to work in big companies and getting promotions, and I've always turned them down. Because I ask them, what is your flexibility? Do I have to be in the office? And my sister works for LinkedIn, and then I have a cousin who works at Facebook. You guys, these companies in Silicon Valley are getting it. We're slow here in the Central Valley, okay? Very slow. Silicon Valley is getting it. The work-life balance, you don't just have to have kids. I mean, you people without kids, you have a life. Okay, so my sister doesn't have kids, But she's able to work from home any time because her boss trusts her. Okay, my cousin at Facebook, he can work at, I mean, first of all, who wants to leave Facebook? Because it's like a campus within a campus. It's beautiful. But he can work from home at any time. Okay, they have amazing maternity, paternity leave coverage. Okay, they have a transition period, so when you come back to work as a new mom, there's a transition period where you're not working full-time hours, you're still working part-time, but then slowly transition into full-time. Hello? Postpartum depression has increased so much over the last years. Why? I know it had happened years ago, like in the 80s and so forth, but right now it's huge. Why? Because companies are not giving us the flexibility. We're creative women, we're smart women. Why do I have to make a choice whether to be at home with my kid or to be at a job, you know, sitting in front of a computer when I could do it also at home? Okay, so that's the choice I've had to make. And with 3 kids, it's kind of, I'm shuttling all the time. I feel like I'm always in the car.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yes?
What does your husband do? What business?
So my husband owns a car lot. He's not your sleazy car salesman. He's a super kind, very easygoing person. And they opened up their car lot in Oakdale, Twin Auto Sales. They opened it back in 2007 when I was pregnant with my daughter, and I'm like, oh my God, what are you doing? But they thrived and they're doing good, and that's what he does. He's not pushy, and I've had students buy cars from him. So, huh? Anybody else? Yes?
I have a question. Since you're a motivational speaker, how did you start off giving motivational speeches? What is your recommendation for people that at some point in life want to do that? Want to be in front of big crowds, giving testimony, giving the audience the money, and telling the audience, giving the audience motivation?
Yeah. How did I go about it?
How did you go about it? Yeah.
By accident. By total accident. So I've been teaching for 11 years, and I've always loved teaching.